I don't know if you can see the goat, but he's really freaking me out. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't always have a whole day to dedicate to an activity. And it takes me even longer because I need to film the thing, so your boy needs sleep, and this weekend I'm gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna go out to Garmisch-Partenkirchen again, but this time to check out the famous Partnachklamm Gorge. And then we're gonna dip our toes into Alm hiking by going up those hills and having a beer. It should be a lot of fun, but is it worth it for a half-day excursion? Let's go find out. Alright, you know the drill for getting to Garmisch by now, don't you? Start at the Munich Hauptbahnhof, purchase your Bayern ticket, and then take the train in the direction of Mittenwald, or if you're lucky, simply in the direction of Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Either will do just fine. And for once, no need to be really strict on timing. Now exit the train and the station, following on straight ahead until you get to the Partnach River. Take a right and stroll alongside that river, going against the flow. Eventually, you'll walk through some fields and just keep going ahead with the giant ski jump as your North Star. Eventually, you'll arrive at the Olympic Stadium. Take a right and then follow the paved roads and signs to the gorge. You can't miss it. It's a dead end after all. And in total, this walk from the train station to the gorge entrance is going to take you about an hour. But on a good day, it's lovely. Alright, so we finally made it to the gorge, and I hope you can hear me all right, because, I mean, it's a little loud with the rushing water and the wind coming through. We picked up a new microphone though, so hopefully it's working, but I'm not gonna know until we get home and edit this, so fingers crossed this works. Anyway, the astute among you will have noticed that I wasn't able to film at the train station today like I usually do, and that's because we're an hour and a half behind schedule. The trains were just not on our side. It was terrible. But no worries though, as we've still got plenty of time to see the gorge, take a look at the river on the other side, and then get up that hill for a beer. It'll be tons of fun. Let's go. How about some background information? The Partnachklamm Gorge is considered one of Bavaria's most beautiful alpine features, and unsurprisingly it was declared a national monument a long time ago, back in 1912. The site features a walkway cut alongside the deep 262-foot crevice as it slices its way through the mountain, displaying the awesome might of the Partnach River. Visitors will be able to witness the river's power firsthand from the safety of a cool wooden walkway, and tickets can be purchased for €6 a person at the entrance. Usually, they'd be valid for a walk there and back again. However, due to the current social distancing guidelines, it's now a one-way trip through the gorge, with guests needing to hike their way back over the top of the hills to come home. Not to worry though, as that's exactly what I'd recommend you do anyway. You'll see why later. And just like that, it's quiet again. I don't know if you can believe that, but it is just so loud in there. I mean, with the roaring waters and the steep walls, it's an echo chamber. You can barely talk to anybody. But once you're out, you've got about two options. You can keep on the path that we're on now to a really cool junction of rivers that come together. A lot of people like to hang out there, would recommend. A bunch of trails near there too. Or the option that I'm going to be picking today, go straight up into the hills and get to that arm. They say about 15 minutes, but you know, your mileage might vary. It's pretty steep. But the sooner we get walking, the sooner we get a beer and some awesome views. Let's go. All right, I lied. I totally went to go check out the river intersection just so I could fly my drone around. But now it's time for beer. Okay, so they weren't lying. They said it was going to take 15 minutes, and 15 minutes it took. However, it was leg day the whole way. I mean, just Stairmaster. It was nuts. But your boys got good carbs, so we made short work of it and stomped it out. Though, don't let that deter you. I've done tons of Alm hikes, in Bavaria, where you go up a trail to a gasthaus like this to have a beer. And of all of them I've been to, this has probably been the most approachable and family friendly. Like 15 minutes is all it is. The views are gonna amaze you. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's go get that drink and I'll show you around. There are actually two up here. I'm gonna go take a look at both, and I can't really remember which one I preferred, but I'll figure it out and I'll let you know. All right, so we chose Beer Garden number 1 as my seat of choice because the mountain range view can't be beat. But, I'd have a beer at both if I had time, no worries. Now, with that done, we've kind of just got one question left, right? How exactly are we gonna get off the hill? And there's something a bit unique about this one, and I have never done it before, so we're gonna be exploring this together. You see, last time I was here, the cable car wasn't working, so I had to go down the maintenance road, really. It's tarmac, there's no public footpath, and it's ludicrously steep. But you could take that option down if you want. However, we're gonna be a bit more adventurous and check out this cable car. You could have taken it up here, but you'd have missed out on the gorge, so I don't really know what the point of that is unless you're staying at this hotel. So we're gonna get on at the top where it's completely unmanned. It just kind of shows up and you step onto it. I've never done that before. And it's standing room only, like a little pod. Really weird. I mean, I've heard a couple shrieks from the people who went ahead of us, and I don't know if that bodes well. So it'll be a bit of an adventure. Let's go check it out. Anyway, so the ride cost €5 per person just for a single trip down, so a little pricey, but way better than that steep track that you'd have to walk down. It's terrible. Like I said, if it was raining, you wouldn't be able to do it. So all that's left now is for us to walk back to Partnachklamm, get on the train and go home. I'll see you in the conclusion to wrap things up with our final thoughts. Hey everybody, so we're back in Munich like always, ready to talk about Partnachklamm Gorge, and I want to go over two things today, if you don't mind. Firstly, I want Camille to go over how this can fit into people's itineraries, or their lives if they're locals, and then I want to talk about your next favourite hobby, Alm hiking. But Camille, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I like to think about this in two different ways: recommendations for locals, recommendations for tourists. For locals, this is a really low-key, low-stakes sort of way to get out into Bavaria. We ended up being 5 or 6 hours behind on our schedule. We normally leave at like 7 in the morning to go shoot things. We didn't leave till like 12 or 1 because I was feeling quite sick. And on top of that, the train was actually an hour delayed, which was really unfortunate. But despite all of those unfortunate circumstances, we were still able to get everything shot that we needed to get shot, experience the gorge and everything, and have a great time. So again, really low stakes, as you can see by the footage, really big ROI. And now because of that, I recommend this for sort of locals living in Munich or other cities and towns in the region who are looking to sort of build friendships. It's a great sort of first or second activity to do with somebody you're trying to make friends with. And I know as an expat, that can be like kind of difficult. Like we uprooted our lives and had to make completely new friends here, from nothing. So actually about a year ago, the first time we went to Partnachklamm Gorge was with some other American expats. And it's a really great experience because it kind of has a way of smoothing over all the awkwardness because there's so much to see and do. You're in the mountains, there's the gorge, the river. It's really beautiful, but it's like I keep saying, it's really low stakes. The train ride's really easy, the hiking's really easy. You don't have to worry about getting lost in the mountains or anything dramatic like that. And then the other people I'd recommend this for, Tourists, kind of. If you're based in Munich for a couple days and you want to take one day trip out into Bavaria, I don't think that Partnachklamm Gorge is for you. There are just so many bigger things that you can do that I really think you would feel like you missed out on if you didn't do them. But I would recommend this for tourists who are sort of doing a big trip in Bavaria. So I would recommend going to Garmisch-Partenkirchen and doing the Zugspitze for a day and then spending a half day in that same town and maybe hitting up the Partnachklamm Gorge on your way to another place in Bavaria. Maybe that second half of the day, take the train to Füssen, take the train to Mittenwald. Maybe you're gonna go even further south into Südtirol. Yeah, but that's about it. We featured an alm near the end of the video. Ben wants to tell you a little bit about that and how that fits into, being in Bavaria.
Right, so you noticed the alm, Camille's been mentioning it as well. And you might be wondering, oh, well, I guess that was just there because the gorge is there. And you couldn't be further from the truth and also correct at the same time. It is there because it's, the gorge, but there are so many of them because this is kind of just a thing in Bavaria. And by alm, what we're really talking about is kind of a beer garden, kind of a Gasthaus. Sometimes you can sleep over, sometimes they just do food, sometimes it's only drinks, but they're all kind of on these trails, and that's their big point, right? You'll have noticed at Werdenfels, if you watched that video, there was a Gasthaus there. If you noticed Eisenberg, that had an alm, and then a bunch of videos coming up, say Tegernsee and the other lakes, they're going to show up as well. But they can be kind of intimidating because some of the trails are really hard. At Tegernsee, that's like an hour and a half of really steep hiking, and is that worth it? Is that worth it on your vacation? Is it worth it on your weekend if you live here? Well, it's kind of hard to find out because, again, they all seem so extreme, and we all know Germans and their hiking, they can take it real seriously with those hiking poles and everything. So how do you dip your toes into it and see if it's for you? And that's with this one. 20 minutes? You can do that, no worries. And maybe you'll do that, enjoy it, have your beer and say, that was enough for me. That was kind of all I really want. And that's awesome because now you know and you've gotten to experience it. But if you're like us, maybe you'll catch the bug for it and say, you know what, let's go harder hikes. Let's get even higher up. Let's have even crazier arms. Let's try out sleeping over in them day after day after day because we're crazy and that sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, they're really great and I really want you to check them out. But I think that pretty much sums it up for this video, right?
Yeah, so we are a small channel, so it really helps if you like this video to like, comment, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Instagram. But see you next time.
Yep, bye.